from across the ditch in the Nelson. And Truman Hoffrichter down there on stand number 6 from Australia. So we've got an Australian and a Scotsman or a Scots lady either end of the field.
Rightio, as they ease their way in to sheep number 1. This is really going to sort them out here. This is a real good test for these juniors. They're not, big time. They haven't really mastered all the different arts of shearing the sheep. Holding on to it and getting it shorn is one art in itself. The other is getting yourself physically prepared for bending over all day and sweating and working really hard. That's another part of shearing the old sheep. And then you've got your gear, okay? One, you've got to financially buy all this stuff, but then you've got to learn how to sharpen it correctly. You've got to make sure you've got the right bevel on the comb. They've got those 13 teeth on the comb. You've got to make sure the right slant or the bevel, what we call the bevel in the shearing industry, is correct. That it will work well and it won't take too much skin with it, but yet it will still enter correctly so that it won't ride out in front and ride out of the wool and start leaving, sort of second cuts where it sort of blurs it over. So there's a lot to learn here. And they're just at the beginnings, but hey, this is where it all begins, is right here in the junior grades. And Emily, bit of a dancer, plenty of life in these sheep. She's made a lot of finals, Emily, this year in this junior grade, and she has won a heap of finals. She has won 5 finals that I know of anyway this year in the junior. So she could be a hot favourite. She's not top qualifier into here all the same. She's 3rd top to make into this semi-final. Ash Jones, who you'll see in the next heat, come in here at top qualifier of 27 points. So Emily will be pleased to get rid of that one as she dances in there. She's a busy lass, John. She's been pressing wool and she's been shearing. She's just in amazed at these girls. There's a lot of girl power going on here at the Golden Shears.
Oh, they're multitasking, all right. And Laura Bradley, she's pretty keen to get on with the job. That last sheep was a little bit naughty for her, and she's back into the flow of things now and right up with the pace. Robert Harvey on stand number 5, around the back of the head. He and Truman Hoffrichter down there on stand number 6 are pretty much blow for blow. Laura's a couple of blows behind. Then Jeremy Morton from Gisborne comes over the top. Rooker Braddock from the Braddock stable up there in Ekatahuna. Right into the shearing world, the Braddock family. As the young fella steps up the neck now. Emily Tikapa comes across the top of between the ears. Step forward for a little bit of, an unusual blow there. She saw a bit of sock wool left on, so she slid the old hand down and picked the back foot up and took it off. Round the back of the head and down towards the first shoulder, the most difficult part of the sheep for Jeremy Morton right about now. You're very vulnerable. That back raking leg can cause a bit of damage into the rib cage, and likewise as he's trying to keep a little bit of pressure on the belly as he now rocks the leg over and clamps it down hard and against the rump to try and keep the sheep locked up between his left and right leg. And she's not liking it at all. In they go down on stand number 5, sheep number 3. You'll notice the internet, of course, working away. That's going streaming live now right across the world. Those points up there and these young shearers, time points are calculated at 3 points per minute. And then the board points is the average number of second cuts to the wool fibre. That's the board points, the second column. The third column is the pen points. That's the outside judging. And that's the demerit points where the judges out there deemed there may be a little bit of bruising on the skin, a little bit of wool left on, and the total finished sheen on the sheep. If the sheep is shorn properly, it will glow. But you will find the odd sheep that's just a little bit dry cutting and the gear is probably not set up for it, and it'll just fluff the wool a little bit, and it won't look quite as rosy and as glossy as it should, Gerald. And occasionally one of those sheep sneaks into the mob.
Yeah, true. And the other thing you've got at this stage, again, if you come back to the gear, if that gear's not cutting real sweet on what we term second shear, and that's this up here. Second shear is in 2 shears for the year. They're drier cutting, okay, and it's not cutting sweet, and you haven't got that gear running really well, even as an experienced shearer. It chews just that little bit, okay? It just, instead of getting a clean cut, you get that chew that John was talking about. Well, one, that will leave a bit of a blur for the judges, but two, the sheep doesn't like it, okay? Hence, you can get a bit of dancing going on, a bit of jiggling here and there and bits and pieces. Now, you'll notice Emily Takabaka on the front stand here. She went for a handpiece change. She had that kicker at the beginning, and she wasn't happy with that. And then the next one, it sort of, want to do a bit of jiggling and bits and pieces. She would know, you can sense by the amount of power you've got to put on it with your handpiece hand. You know when it's not cutting sweet. And it has to be cutting really well with second shear in the shed and especially in a show. Okay, so those are some of these dynamics these youngsters are taking on, let alone 400 or 500 people watching, and the lights, let alone all the judges with their watchful eye and their clickers, and the judges out the back that are going to tip them up. And also, of course, some of their heroes are watching them at the moment. Their Johnny Kirkpatricks, their David Fagans, all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of sort of pressure on them, and here they are. They've made a semi-final in the junior. Bradley on to sheep 3, brings the head forward, thinking, right, let's take that red flag out of the way. Let's bring the head forward. Let's just take 1 second of time to make sure this job is right. And so she does. Right out to the toenail. Moving her body with it, keeping a good close eye. And she's just about tracing that handpiece. You go exactly where you need to go, young handpiece. Pulls out the last one, so she does. Hervey. Sheep 4 as well. The last one's on the board for him, and he's got a little beauty. Look at the length of this guy. He could turn into a super shearer. He won't have to move his body at all. He just swing those big arms of his. Robert Hervey on stand 5. Down towards the fertilizer works. 1, 2 big ones up the back now. Top knot comes off. Hoff Frichter down on the bottom stand there. Down he goes to. Look, he's got a big set of wings on him as well. Right back, cleans up those socks. As I'm saying, look, that wool's not worth much, but we want a real clean job done, and every little bit counts in the wool industry. It's what pays the bills for the sheep farmer, and they've got to be paid. Farming, the lifestyle of farming is well and truly gone. She's all business these days. Up the neck, here goes on the bottom stand. Fires one into the side of the face. Coming along here, how's Emily getting on now? She's into the belly wall, starting to settle into her work. She will be absolutely desperate to make this final. That's what it's going to come down to, the big shear off tomorrow. Down towards the undermine goes Morton on stand 2. Emily Bradley over that shoulder. It's a delicate little spot there. And Braddock doing the finishing touches. He'll be the last person to grab the sheep out of the pen. I didn't realise he's going to do a bit of a handpiece change. He's going to carry it into the pen with him. That shows you the concentration that's going on, ladies and gentlemen. But even the juniors make it look easy. But there's a whole lot of stuff happening up there, and it's not subconscious. It's not like a behaviour that just happens all by itself like breathing. They are consciously thinking about every movement they're doing. As Bradley's doing the finishing touches in the middle there. Sheep number 4, she brought the head forward again. She's in for the red button. She'll be pleased about that. She shakes her head. Maybe she's not pleased about it. Let's go upstairs. She's got 40.7 points up there, John. I don't draw. There's a 37. There's time points still to come on the others, though. So she's having a chat to the ref. No, not the ref, but one of the judges, just to see what he thinks.
Yeah, they're quite difficult, these sheep. They're pretty fresh, and these young shearers are just struggling to make the most of them at the moment. They're just quite free with their feet, and regularly you notice the young Braddock there, that last sheep number 3, made him change a handpiece. He thought his gear was going off, but these sheep are very feisty, and the farmer's going to be well pleased the way they're coming out of the wool. But under the shoulder and down out to the flank, sheep number 4 for Jeremy Morton. Emily Tikapa from Scotland's got sheep number 4 on the board as well. She's had a couple of fighters early in the piece. Come on, Ekatahuna, settle it down and get on with the job, mate. Put a few quick blows in. I know it's difficult for young Rooker, but he's got that fresh comb and cutter on now. Maybe that'll make the job a little bit easier. Just not enough extremities on the body now in this difficult part of the sheep. The first off shoulder, the elbow. You can see his left leg's tucked right under he's got the foot right under the shoulder. Emily completes the task and gets the flashing buttons.
Yeah, Emily's stopping her at a blue at the moment of 42 points. She's worked up a sweat. She's not sure about it. A lot of concern on their faces, isn't there, up there? You can see it.
Oh, it's a lonely place to be.
Yeah. It's a lonely sport that way. You're up there competing against all the others and yourself. Getting that cheek ball out of the way for Braddock from Ekatahuna. Come along here for a good old Shear to do the very best he could. And he's made this semi-final. Now he's getting some big shots going. This man from Ekatahuna, right out there, flicks that leg over. Now he's going to have to work that left hand, and he does. Someone has trained him very well. Oh, look at that. I jinxed him. Move on to something else. Let's talk about the sponsor for a minute, just to get the limelight off him, the spotlight. PGG Wrightson's the sponsor of this event. So once again, thank you very much to PGG Wrightson's. They've got a wee tent out the back here, ladies and gentlemen, and especially shearers and woolhandlers. If you want some gear, go and see them. It's right here. It'll save you going down to the bulk store and the merchandise to buy it. You can just get it right here. So be sure to support your sponsors, because they're supporting you, as Ruka Braddock does the finishing touches. Give them a round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. It's a super effort by these juniors.
PGG Wrightson is a leading provider to the agricultural sector in New Zealand and internationally. Our business includes rural supplies, livestock, seed, grain, nutrition, turf, fruit-fed supplies, wool, real estate, water, training, insurance and finance. We aim to develop and deliver the right products and services supported by the best people to help our customers operate efficiently and effectively now and into the future. PGG Wrightson, helping grow the country.
Okay. We have a green light at the far end. Can we have our competitors on the board, please? Oh, the referee's busy. Some of these guys feel they have an unjust sheep. Oh, crikey. But he's pretty tough. He says, no, she's beautiful. Don't try it on with me. And, of course, it becomes a little bit of a rush along the board for him. He'll sort it all out. So we're not at sort of a time in that last one. Took him a while, 15 minutes or something, to get those 4 sheep shorn. Okay, we got the all clear. Timekeeper's right. No shearer. Where's our shearer on 2? On the board, please. Mr. Jones. Thank you. Start again. Timekeeper's right. Judges, competitors, go. Heat number 2 underway. A little bit of an advantage this time round. They've seen how the sheep are performing. They know they're quite feisty little animals. They are wild beasts after all. Robert Hutter from Dipton in the south on stand number 1. Ash Jones from Wales. Crikey, one of that contingent from across the ditch. Carmen Smith from Pongaroa. Been in the woolhandling, been in the pressing. Up here now in the junior semi-final. On stand number 4. going up over the tail. Ooh, the sheep just sort of starts to move on him now as we got Rico Stevens from Gisborne. Big, strong young shearer down on stand number 5 from England. Ross Thompson steps forward up the neck. Likewise, there's Hughes down on the far end on stand number 6. Down towards the first off shoulder. Another Welshman down there. Looking pretty sharp, these guys all together. Who's going to get the first drop? Could be on stand number 2, Ash Jones. It looks like Gerald starting to show the way early.
Yeah, it definitely is, John. All right, he's hit that long blow. Very good to get the nerves settled. If you can get off to a real good start, it just helps get everything going. I don't know, you go up there feeling full of confidence, but you just need that stuff just to get warm, to get into it. And you can get that, and it looks like Ash Jones has pulled that off. These Welsh people, they're just producing just a wave of great shearers. I don't know what they're doing. I'm very sure they've got a sports academy that's just strictly focused on shearing sheep hidden away in the valley somewhere. Because there's a heap of them here, and of course they took two trophies home from the Golden Shears last year in the shearing. 2 of the lower grades were tidied up by the Welsh. And talking about that, Ash Jones, top qualifier into this event. So anything can happen here. He's got a bit of a jiggler and he's trying to settle it down now. Carmen Smith, on to the last shoulder. How did she go? She was 6th top qualifier into this. She needs to do exactly the same as she has. Hubber, now Robert Hubber. He's been making quite a lot of finals in and around the Southern Circuit. So here he goes. He dives into number 2 and he'll be the first one to do so on the front stand. So he's a man on a mission too. Qualified 5th into here. So there's no give-me's here. A lot of things can change, especially at this grade. We're giving them 4 sheep to sort themselves out and give them all a really good chance. But if they get a real big kicker or something, we will... Rick? And then we move along, Ricky Stevens from Gisborne down on the 4th stand there. Now, where did he qualify? He was Ricky Stevens. He's in there somewhere. He's qualified 10th, ladies and gentlemen. So he's got to go up the ladder. He has to do a little bit more. And he won't be happy with that because he's been winning a lot of finals up here in the north and doing very, very well. So he'll have a new plan when he gets up there on the 2nd sheep and get the job right. Once again, it's only 4 sheep, and every point on the board and every point out the back is divided by the number of sheep. So every time they get a fault at the moment, it's 25% of a point or a quarter of a point, okay? Showing off my great mathematics skills here for a second. If you're shearing 10, it's 1/10 of a point. So it doesn't take an Einstein to work out the less sheep you're shearing, the more the job becomes so important. And the time becomes less because it stays the same all day long at 1 point every 20 seconds. So they're rolling into sheep 2. How's the man on the front stand? He was the man that grabbed sheep 2 out first. He's onto that last shoulder. Harper all the way from Dipton. He's travelled a long way. He's clocking up some air points as well, folks. Right out to the toenail he goes now. Get that left hand working, Robert. I'm going to support you. I'll call you one of my local buddies at the moment because I'm from away down there too. That's that one wrapped out. The way you go, mate. Get in there and grab another one and get into it. It's the boy, Ash Jones, top qualifier. Look how pink that baby is. Man alight. He's polished that one. He must have a special thing underneath that comb, I reckon, John, that doesn't just cut it but also polishes it as well.
Yeah,
look at that beauty.
He'll have the gear all polished up all right. They like to buff their combs after work every night, these young fellas, so that the grease does not retain on the back of them. And it helps improve the close cutting, right, to get that sheen finish down, right down on the skin. Oh, he's not happy. He says, get rid of that one. This Jones, he says, we'll get a fresh one out. I'm halfway through. I want a new cut. Carmen Smith coming over the shoulder now. She's been in all parts of the shearing world here over the last couple of days. This semi-final, she's hoping to get right through to the end, but she's got a bit of a fighter. Here we go. Another one on the board for Rico Stevens. A little bit of trouble settling these sheep down. They're quite feisty. Must be some rain in the air. That's what it is. It's rain in the air. I believe it's raining in the Naki this morning. Everything's good. I can stay away another couple of days if it's raining, but these sheep are settled down again. Jonesy got it. Had to go back to that first handpiece. Won't be happy with that. He lost the tooth on his fresh one. Out the last leg comes Carmen Smith. I'm sure he could rush down the other end and borrow Morgan Hughes' second handpiece. He'd have time to do it. He's going pretty well. Up over the top now. Around the back of the head. Ross Thompson from England moving away. Up over the Rico Stevens. Gisborne got the top knot off, but the pace still here in the front. Robert Hubbar from down on the deep south. Dipton. Oh, hey, the fair hair of the Scots blood showing up there as he comes out the last leg. Look at it. Make it look easy. One left in the pen, Gerald.
Ah, yeah, all back and won't we? That's a boy, Robert. Get into the mate. That's the one. Another one down is looking good to make that top six at this stage. Pulls out another one, another little beauty. We could say that every time the six pull them out all day, right from Thursday morning, Friday and Saturday. The Golden Shears are so well organised and so well drafted, these sheep. Just an absolute credit to all the farmers and a credit to the man who's sorting them all up. But Hubber goes out that first hind leg. Done the crutch, he's working that left hand. He starts firing down there, putting in those little shots. You can do that just to make sure you're going to get through. He's in a comfortable space at the moment. He's in the zone. Fires one, two big ones up the back there. Jones, he's moved on. Wooder under the bridge now. He's got to move on. You've got to be able to learn that as a shearer. You've got to learn it real fast. That if something's not going well, deal to it, move on, go into damage control, get it fixed, and forget about it. Because the next time you pull out another sheep, just as Ash Jones has, it's a fresh one. Okay, so you can quickly work out who's going to win the battle if you start fighting these sheep day in and day out, and it will definitely be the sheep because they're fresh every time you pull the little hounds out. They're full of fire. By jolly they are, and they seem to know when it's going to rain. They start getting fidgety and agitated. Sometimes up to 12 hours beforehand. Down towards the fertiliser works. Jones goes right now. Hungry, top qualifier in here. There's plenty of time to make it up. You've got a whole sheep. Still 25% of your shear to go here. Off for the top knot he goes. Carmen Smith, let's move down there right into these middle stages. She had a bit of a battle with that last one too. Rolls the leg over now, working the left hand again. There we go, on to the money side. On the journey home, it'll be money, honey, all right. It'll be prestige and honour and ribbons and all the accolades as well as the cash. That will come with a podium finish. Carmen, if you can get this dead right, and it's a little beauty that you're going to put out. Look, she's right under the lights and you can see how clean that one is. It's a little ripper. Mr. Hubbard is wrapped up. He said, I've been thinking about this all the way up here on the plane and away before that as well. The Gisborne man, Ricky Stevens. He's made a lot of finals too. What's he doing upstairs? He must be a very, very clean man. Ricky Stevens, he's got, where is he? 36.8 at this stage. But Robert Hubber stopping at a 35. Just waiting on the last sheep to be judged out the back. The time has stopped, of course. The board has stopped. So it's just when that sheep's judged out the back, which will be happening right now. They whizzle on there really quickly, these judges, and we'll have a yellow screen which will tell us what he is. And if you've been watching the heat before, you're going to have a fair idea. You don't have to wait to find out for the announcement from us of who's made the final, the big cut for tomorrow. You can work that out yourself. You already have it. That's the joys. Another man in there, the Ross Thompson from England. Has a sigh of relief, John. He says, oh, it's not easy. Ash Jones, he's had a battle. Will it get him through? He's had a sigh of relief too. He's not impressed. Not impressed at all with that shear.
There's a lot of big, tall shearers up there in this heat. Look at them. They're struggling to get in through the door. Look at that Thompson. Hell, he's a 2 metre Peter. Round the back of the head comes Carmen Smith. Finishing touches there for Rico Stevens. Over the shoulder comes the other Welshman, Morgan Hughes, rocking down there on stand number 6. Pushes the shoulder and makes the front leg stay straight. Under the shoulder and down and out to the flank, these juniors. Their time in the sun is almost up because there's only 6 of them going to make it through to the next round. Carmen Smith from Pongaroa comes across the shoulder. Got the fresh comb and cutter on. Is it making a difference? As the finishing touches hits the button goes Morgan Hughes and we get the blue lights. 37.7 for Robert Hubber. Ash Jones had a little bit of a kicker or two of a sheep. He's got a 41.272. Of course, that's the final score when those yellow figures come up. That's how these competitors have fared in this semi-final, sponsored by PGG Wrightsons. Reaching for the button, a round of applause for those shearers, ladies and gentlemen. Off for the left, off to the other side, guys. Head north and on from the south. We bring the fresh light. We have a green light. Shearers on the board. Stand 6. Stand 2. Thank you, people. Okay, let them go. Timekeepers are good. Judges, competitors, go. There goes the top 10 up there of the junior semi-final so far. Robert Hubber, the top qualifier at this stage, of 37.7. We've got another 6 shearers want to make their imprint, and they've got to make it happen now. Get it all out of the sock drawer. By golly, you can't leave one hidden trick in there because these sheep won't allow you to. You need to spend it all, get up there and give it your best shot.
Yeah, it was quite good to see the Ash Jones actually made it through. It'll be a good experience for him where things are going wrong, but you've got to stay focused and just move on. You can't stay with that, sit in that sort of stuff. You've got to move on. He's done it well. He's managed to still be second top at that off that board anyway.
Only made it so far. These 6 shearers got to knock that about, no trouble. Connor Puha from Kinbolton here on stand number 1. From Masterton, the Loki fella, Tui Wilton. Big strong shoulders on him. Here we got Ewan Perrott from Wales. Tom Brewer from Australia. Down on stand number 4. Sean Gook from Ekarahuna on stand number 5. And Daniel Seed down there on stand number 6. Blazing into the first off shoulder. So the Woodville lad down there on stand number 6. Barreling up the long blow, but the pace all coming from the Welshman. Once again, Gerald, by crikey, they're putting on a good show here in Masterton.
Yeah, as they have all round the North and South Island. Some great training going on over there into that last shoulder area, that very, very vulnerable area. We've said it 1,000 times and we'll probably say it again, but it is, and you'll see why. and a lot of it can stem from just not quite getting your other shots right. There's a whole sheep's got to be shorn. So you can very easy in these situations up here think, oh, I want to get off to an absolutely brilliant start, and you take a few shortcuts here and there. And what happens is when you got a whole thing to shear, the last half can become a really big half, and that's when you can start getting issues. So you've got to try to stay focused, and these intermediate boys will be doing that, and just do what needs to be done. Make sure you take a full belly off. Make sure you do a big undermine to make sure that last side's nice and quick. Make sure you put that last one full shot over the backbone on the long blow. All those little things that sometimes doesn't quite go according to plan when you're up there on the board. Very easy to sit back here with my little microphone and tell them how it should be done. But when it's up there and there's a lot at stake, because they do not come easy. We don't give the red ribbons away easily here at the Golden Shears, and you don't get a lot of chances of them. You start making these finals, well, and you've had a pretty good run for the year, then you're up a grade to the senior. Okay, so your chance has been and gone. So you've got to have most things right. You've got to get it right. You've got to shear well. You've got to have the gear right. You've got to be in a good mental place. All those sorts of things that are involved in getting these sheep shorn. We've got 5 here to shear, so we're once again the Golden Shears, and a big thank you to the committee are putting up, real good charts. We're spending time to make sure these shearers have every opportunity to, show their ability to make the top run. And Ash Jones in the last heat could be one where he had a vicious sort of sheep that was giving him a bit of a beating in the junior, but yet he still had 3 more to go. Okay, it could have been a different story if there was only 2 supplied or 3 supplied and you got 1 bad one. So that's what it's all about. Give them a few numbers to make sure we can really get the top 6 to shear off. Meanwhile, at the moment, we better not jump ahead. We're just in the semi-final, this intermediate. Sponsor, Community Trust. The
PGG Wrightson, the sponsor in this one, Gerald, and they've been associated with the Shearing here in the Wairarapa for a number of years. So here we go, out the last leg, working away. The Welshman gets a little bit of a handle on the top there. That's a bit of a no-no. You see those running around the pen, they're a bit of a dead giveaway that you owe the boys a shout. This Connor Puha from Kim Bolton comes across the shoulder on the last side. Finishing touches for Tui Wilton, the young man from Masterton, on stand number 2. The Australian Tom Brewer dropping into the first off shoulder. Not shown too many of these crossbreds by the look of it. He's very delicate in the way he approaches that first off shoulder. Into the long blow goes Zekert Hooneman. Sean Gook up the long blow with good rhythm. He's doing pretty well. Good long arms on him. He should be able to whip that handpiece around there. Over the shoulder on the last side comes Daniel Seed from Woodville. But the pace still with our man Perrott, the Welshman, on stand number 3. Rocking it up. Sheep number 3. Time gone 5:25. So they're still on the pace, these guys. Took around about 9 minutes in the last heat. This is the last heat of the junior semi-final.
Johnny Bulkholt, can you turn up here, please, Johnny Bulkholt, to the up to where the mics are, thanks. From Wanganui, Johnny Bulkholt, here he is. Done job. Oh, those junior shearers, they'll be absolutely wrapped. I had a wee glance up there, thought we're already on to the intermediate. That's the class of these youngsters, isn't it? Here they go, not long out of the blocks. The pluses they have got is the gear that's supplied these days, and all these machines and the speed they travel at, and the gears straight out of the box, and all the technology and innovations that's been done that way. Really, really good. It just sets these young fellas off to a good start, and girls for that matter. Perrott, right out. Look at the size of that man. He's got huge big arms on him and huge big hands. Right out to the toenails he goes. A little beauty from Wales. That's that tidied up. In for the cord. 1 to go now. Still in the junior, ladies and gentlemen. Take note of all the sponsors around the stadium. Have a look who's supporting this show. They're very, very fortunate to be involved here, but they are the ones that are supporting the show to make sure it can run. Non-profit organisation, all volunteers running the show, and there's be at least five officials around every shearer to make this work. So a lot of great people involved in the Shearing family, and then deciding once their time has been there and done that they've had a massive, a beautiful time shearing sheep for their life, and they want to give it back and start training some of these youngsters and helping some committees run these shows. Puha in for a handpiece change on the fourth and last one. Not happy with that. Wilton said, gee whiz, there's some kickers here. They've got a bit of life in them. Get a full belly off, mate. He decides it's not quite right. He stops the handpiece. That's the man. Take your time. Get it set up again. That's it. Like a fresh start. Switch on. Now it's just like the beginning again. There he goes. Out the first hind leg. And he comes to the flank. Get that left hand. Drives one down. 2, 3 little ones. One big one up the back. And now 2. The Welsh boys hit the long blow now. Away he goes. That's the one. Throw the leg over. It makes you feel so good. You get that rhythm going. The body's starting to swing. Brewer, Tom Brewer from Australia, doing exactly the same on sheep number 3. So we've got sheep 4. 1, 2, 3 are on sheep 4. Oh, there's lots of actions and a lot at stake as Parrot over. You can see it's a wee bit dry cutting. You see that one there. You see that little bit of colour on the wall, ladies and gentlemen, in stand 3 there. He's got to really push that stuff off. You can see the power he's putting into it. It means it's dry cutting. It's a wee bit crusty. That's what we'd call it in the shearing shed. It's a wee bit crusty. See the colour there? It's a wee bit tighter. He's had to work really hard at that, but he's got it done. He's in for the red button now. He's pleased with that. There's not a big sigh. He's just thinking, oh, well, I've got them out of the way and they're done. Tom Brewer brought the head forward. Sean Golk is wrapped up the third one and in for the fourth one. Pulls it out, sits it down. Big, tall, slender fella. In goes Brewer as well. So a well spread field here. Wilton. He's finished. Worked up a bit of sweat there. A lot of these juniors, of course, at this junior grade, they can be, quite spread in their ability, especially when you're up here amongst all these lights and bits and pieces. Puha from Kim Bolton. Facial expression, not too worried. I'm just about want to get the sweat out of my eyes. That's what I want to do. Daniel Seed, way round to the long blow. He hits right now, lines it up. 2. Now into the big ones. There we go. There's that big shot again where he locks it up with that other leg, chucks it over and rolls it over now. Come here, little honey. Does so, rolls around the ear, sits that. You've got to get everything working, your elbows, your knees, whatever you can do just to get her into position. Line it up for that handpiece. Gives it a bit of a wriggle, bit of a shake. Says, hey, honey, settle down. I've only got another 10 or 15 seconds and I'll have you out the back door. Cleans up that shoulder. Now on the money side and on the journey home, John.
Yeah, they're working away. Just 3 competitors to complete the task. The last in the PGG Wrightson semi-final for the junior. Next time some of these guys will come back, they'll be competing for $400 first prize. But they've got to make it through that next round. And you see those yellow figures coming up there. With Tui Wilton, he's got a 40.9. So it's pretty sharp. Need to be in those low 40s to be in with a chance. Into the long blow now goes Tom Brewer from Australia. He says, I'm going to make every post a winning post, and he's keeping the job right. 3.8 and a 5.3 at the moment, so that's pretty handy, and he's on his last sheep. Last sheep now for Sean Gook. He comes out the last leg, the Ekatahuna lad. Big long reach on him, by crikey. Just seems to be getting it easy down there. Rolling on one under the hock, one over the sock, down over the tail, and he'll let it go down the chute. Hit the bright lights and turn his clock off. Well done, young shearer. There's now just our Australian man to go. He's very, very careful indeed as he comes under the shoulder. It'll be interesting to see if he's this careful when he gets on the merinos. But he only uses a couple of teeth when he comes under that front leg, and he'll be choking a few more teeth now as he comes out. And one under the hock, one over the tail. The sheep's head's well forward. Let her go, mate, let her go. Oh, well done, those junior shearers. Come on, round of applause for them. Good stuff. Roll on the intermediate semi-final. Okay, can we have the shearers on the board, please? The shearers on the board. We've got a green light, 5 sheep. 5 sheep to shear. Stand 6, please. Intermediate shearing semi-final, sponsored by Trust House. Timekeepers right. Judges, competitors, go.